Hey guys, in this video, we're gonna show you a Porsche. We promised that to you a couple weeks ago. And now we even have something a little bit better. We have two Porsches for you. We have a 1961 Porsche 356 and we have a 1961 Porsche 356.
Which one was your favorite one of the two?
If they drove past me at the same time, I wouldn't know the difference other than they had two different sets of tires.
And that was about it, right?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
pretty amazing cars. But you guys are gonna love this one, so stick around and watch the video.
Don't go anywhere. All right, we are about ready to film Jim and Brian, the 61 and the 64 Porsche. These cars, from what I understand, are absolutely beautiful. All I've seen is pictures, Levi. So I love Porsches. I am so anxious to get there and see what these things look like in person. From the pictures, it looks amazing. So,
from what Jim did with the Willys wagon that he had,
yep.
I can't wait to see what he did with a Porsche.
I bet you this thing is a gem. So it's all happening right now, right? Roll the car guy footage.
Hi, I'm Brian Stevens. This is my 1961 Porsche 356 Super 90. Well, about 20 years ago, I was driving my 1980 911 Targa, and I couldn't really go anywhere where I really wanted to drive it fast because I would get a ticket. So I thought maybe if I got an older Porsche, it'd be more fun because at 70 or 80, it'd feel like I'm going 180. So I started to look for a 356. A guy out in Barrington actually had this in his barn. They talk about barn finds. He had this in his barn. It was only running on 3 cylinders. I bought it. I drove it like that for a while. The engine kind of blew up on my way to Effingham one day. And I was going down to Marion for my son's baseball game. And I had it rebuilt. It lasted about another 16 years. And then recently, I had the entire engine taken out and rebuilt, and now it's absolutely perfect. At that point, we bored it out a little bit, so now I've got about 110 to 115 horsepower as opposed to the original 90. A guy by the name of Kurt from Kurt Auto Works in Homer Glen is the one that did the engine. And then about 3 years ago, I had it taken down to bare metal and repainted, and Dan Rich Homer Glen did that. Actually, Dan and Rich Schwartz own it, and Rich's son Danny is the one that sprayed it, and he did an outstanding job. It's a Porsche red. I'm not sure which Porsche red it is, but it is a Porsche red. It's got, you know, a tint of orange to it, but no, actually the interior was absolutely perfect, and I even still have the original leather steering wheel, which is rare. The only thing I did is I bought cocoa mats for it, so it's got new mats. Other than that, oh, and I replaced the visors. The visors were kind of worn out, so the same visor, but I put new cloth on a visor. But that was the only thing I had to do in the interior. It's just better to leave it original. So it's a 6-volt system. The headlights are real dim. The tail lights are real small. I did not put a third light. Some guys put a third light on. I didn't do that. So at night, it's a little, you know, you need to be careful. I ride motorcycles, so I'm used to being a little bit more cautious, and you have to try to drive this like you would a motorcycle at night. Just kind of beware of everybody around you. But it runs great. I drove it up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan last year. I left Homer Glen in the morning. I was up there 400 and some miles later in the evening, and I got a lot of thumbs up through Wisconsin on the way there. My favorite thing about this car really is how much other people appreciate it. I get nothing but compliments on it, and for me personally, it's fun to drive. If I were to change anything, like we talked about before, I maybe would change it to 12 volt and get better lights, and maybe put disc brakes on it because I don't have disc brakes. But other than that, probably not. I mean, that would be it. The wheels and the tires are the original original. They're the only thing is when this car in 1961 they were belt tires and now they're radials. But other than that, they're all original. So I belong to the 356 Club and the PCA, Porsche, the National Club, and I'm a member of the Chicago chapter. My favorite story actually is what we're doing here today with my friend Jim Cronin. We have essentially twin cars. We've been friends since kindergarten. He's always been older than me. He's 68, I'm 67. But we go back a long ways. We both have cars that look the same, and when we go places together, we always get double takes. So it's a lot of fun for us to go to car shows together and just take rides together. But the best thing is we're still friends after 60-something years. I always thought it'd be nice to drive. I do motorcycle trips across the country. You know, I've gone to Daytona and Sturgis and things like that. I always thought it'd be nice to drive it across the country. The problem is when you fix the car, and you know this, you're a car guy. Once you have your car essentially perfect in show condition, then you're afraid to drive it because you're going to get a chip or you're going to get a ding or somebody's going to scratch it or something's going to happen. I mean, I don't even like to drive it in the rain. So once I get maybe over that, then I'll take it for some longer trips. But taking it, you know, the Upper Peninsula and back was a little bit over 1,000 miles. That was nice. And I didn't get any chips, so that was good. Hi, my name's Brian Stevens. This is my 1961 Porsche 356 Super 90, and that's why I'm a car guy.
Hi guys, my name is Jim. This is my 1964 356 Porsche. So I came across this car through my sister. She lives in California in San Francisco. Her husband has 2 of these cars and he doesn't do the work on them himself. He has the work done by different specialty shops. He was at the shop one day and there were 2 356s that were under car covers that had been there for years that he had noticed. And he asked the owner, a guy named Lucas, what was the deal with those cars. And Lucas told him at the time that the guy who wanted the cars rebuilt decided he didn't want to complete the job and that they were for sale. So Alan, my brother-in-law, offered the guy some money for the cars and he took it. My sister called me and said, we found a car for you. And I was in between projects at the time. And they gave me the great news. So I had the car shipped back here. I had it within a couple days from California. And it was a heap. There was a lot of missing parts that had been sitting in a shop for many years. So little things like, you know, headlight rims and, you know, bumperettes and, you know, windshield wipers. And if they needed some parts to complete another project, they kind of went to this car and another one like it and went and got those parts and used them on other cars and never really replaced them. So it did look, when it pulled off the trailer, it leaked oil all the way into my garage. And it was really kind of horrid looking. It was black and it had scrapes all over it. And the interior was almost non-existent. It was down to the springs. The carpet was rotten and pretty much gone. And that was pretty much the state of the whole car. It just wasn't in great condition. But I'm used to these kind of projects and I just knew within, you know, a day or two that the car was very solid. It had no rust on it. It did have one small dent in the back passenger side quarter panel, but that was easily fixed. So once again, I embarked upon the project of taking all the parts off the car, getting it down to pretty much bare metal, strip it down. Tom soda blasted the car, and I asked him to prime it. And I was thinking maybe I'd have it painted somewhere else. So as it turned out, Tom had some time on his hands. So after he primed the car, I decided I'd have him paint it. So he did, he painted it. I think the whole process probably took 2 months, is about how long he had it. And then it was back to my garage. He dropped it off, and I began the arduous process again of putting all the parts back on the car, you know, cleaning everything, checking everything, replacing all of the, you know, the body gaskets and all the little rubber parts that were rotten. And, you know, then of course the engine. The engine had to be rebuilt, the trans had to be rebuilt. Just a lot of work, a lot of steps. You know, the goal was to keep it as stock as possible, but I did put a big bore kit in it, so I got a few more horsepower out of it. And it's just a fun car to drive. I just yesterday was up in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin with this car, and I was keeping up with traffic. You know, I was going 75 miles an hour and feeling very comfortable at that speed with this car. So it really is a lot of fun to drive. It's another one of those cars that when you pull up to a stoplight, people just don't know what it is. And some people think it's a Volkswagen of some sort or a Carmen Ghia. A lot of people just don't know. What is that and how old is it? That's a lot of fun to talk about with people. The engine on this car is what it came with was a 1600 cc engine, which is about a 60 horsepower engine. With the kit that I put in, which the kit is cylinders and pistons, I believe I'm up to 75 horsepower with the car now. It's a Porsche engine. It's a Porsche engine. The body, this is a Carmen bodied car. Again, it's a 1964. This model was made I think they started manufacturing in 63, but I believe they were sold in 64 and 65. There may be some that were sold in 63, I just don't know, I'm not sure. If I could change anything about this car, I'd put air conditioning in it. And some guys have done that. But, you know, 1600 cc engine, or maybe 1725 right now, whatever it ended up being after that kit was put in, probably wouldn't work really well with air conditioning, but that sure would be nice. Hey guys, my name is Jim. This is my 1964 356C, and that's why I'm a car guy.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but those had to be the most beautiful Porsches that I've seen in a long time. I mean, these guys have these things in mint condition, just absolutely beautiful. And to see them next to each other, to me, was absolutely amazing. I couldn't tell the difference between the two, except for, like you said, the tires were different and the hubcaps were different. Totally amazing. What did you think?
Well, I really like Jim's 64. Jim's 64, he did so much work to it. It came to him from California. His brother-in-law found it, and he was able to get Jim in touch with the guy who owned it, and he ended up purchasing it for 5 G's, which is kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But he bought a Porsche for $5,000. Of course, it was all taken apart,
yeah.
And it was used as a parts car, so it didn't have everything on it.
Amazing.
Can you imagine parking your car somewhere and having people just take parts off of it?
Yeah, that's just crazy.
So,
and he's owned this car for 17 years, by the way.
Yeah, he's had the car for a long time.
Yeah.
But that guy did everything to that car, and it looks amazing. Once again, he did some nice name dropping of all the guys who worked on it.
Yeah.
Tom Stowe, and I love that he put in leather interior back in instead of vinyl, and he did it the old-fashioned way with the horsehair and the straw and all that. I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's just Jim.
Jim is a quality guy.
That's right, and he is very, very meticulous when it comes to his cars, so that doesn't surprise me at all.
Nope, and he changed it all over to disc brakes. I can't believe that.
Wow, yeah.
So to have a 1964 car with all disc brakes, it kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
No, the guy just did an amazing job, and the car is beautiful. It drives beautiful. You know, he just brought it home from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, drove it all the way home.
Just for us.
Just amazing guy, amazing story. We absolutely just love Jim's Porsche.
Yeah, and like I said, he came down here from Geneva just to be on after the smoke clears, and then he tells his buddy Brian about it, and they're like, hey, I wonder if those guys wouldn't mind doing 2 Porsches at once. And I'm glad he came down. It was really cool. And another cool thing about these 2 guys is they've known each other since kindergarten.
Since kindergarten. I don't know anybody I knew in kindergarten.
Nah, me either.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that
but
was cool.
Amazing people. You know, I talked to, they got completely different personalities too, but their cars, if you didn't know one was a 64 and one was a 61, you wouldn't know the difference between the 2.
Yeah.
They both are beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brian, he's owned that car for
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. And the cool thing about his car is it really didn't need a lot of work done to it. He really bought a nice driver, a car. And I don't even call it a driver. I mean, let's be for real. Both of these cars are cars. They're show cars.
Yes. They belong in a museum.
They do. I love them both. He's got a beautiful car. He hasn't done anything to the car other than just change out he changed out his visors. You know, other than that, he hasn't really done too much to the car.
Yeah.
And but I'll tell you what, he looks like he should be driving that car. Actually, they both look like they should be driving their cars. And to see 2 best friends that have known each other since they were in kindergarten, driving these 2 cars together. Mark, I wish I had friends like that all my life.
Yeah, it was
I'm a little jealous of both of those guys.
Oh, definitely.
What amazing story.